Welcome to Typically Hazardous. I am Steven, and today is a shop day. As you can see, it's really gross outside. We had some snow and it's melting off and it's just sloppy. And so we're in the shop, which is great because I have a million things that I need to do in here. But as the snow was melting, look what we found. This nasty little thing here. Some cast iron. I love cast iron. You guys know that about me. In fact, I think it's the only thing worth cooking on. And so we found this little guy, and I think what we're gonna do is actually just take him today and we'll clean him up, refinish him, and give him some new life. And then in the next video, I'm really excited. I've got something really special that I think we're gonna cook right on this guy. Ooh. So come along as we take this dumpster find and turn it into a great piece of cookware. I really like more vintage kind of cast iron, stuff made prior to the 1970s. Stuff that you get today is fine. I don't know, my opinion is I think they messed up just a little tiny bit. The cooking surfaces on modern cast iron are really rough, and so you really have to season it and season it and season it before it cooks really very well and is really smooth and easy to, you know, make sure things aren't sticking to it. And in more vintage cast iron, it was all really smooth, wonderful surfaces, and so there's just a joy to cook with. We've gotten all kind of the big chunks off of it. It's not too bad. There's a couple little rusty parts in it that you can kind of see, like the original kind of seasoning has come off and it's rusty, and the backside had a little bit of rust too. It's really not that bad though. But we're just gonna dry it off real fast, because what you really don't want is a bunch of like wet, nasty stuff in your sander, because that's what we're gonna end up using on this. And I'm not super worried, like I know it's not clean as a whistle or anything, and that's all right, because we're just gonna take the sander to it anyhow. Okay, I feel pretty good about that. Let's get to sanding. Before we get started on that though, let me just be really clear. The particles that are gonna come off of this, you do not want in your lungs. You do not want it in your eyes. Be very careful. Make sure you're wearing a mask or a respirator if you have to. Goggles, maybe not just glasses, but actual goggles. Like, you just don't want this stuff in your lungs, right? It's really not good for you. So with that all being said, we're gonna take a couple of different sanders. What we're going to do is we're gonna start off with an 80 grit sandpaper with this kind of detail sander. We're just gonna come in here and knock off all the big nasty stuff. And then we'll graduate to a finer grit, like a 120 or something like that. And then we'll finish it off with like a 220 or 240 grit to give it a nice smooth finish. We might want to go a little bit more fine, like we may end up going up to a 400 or something like that, just to get it really nice and smooth, but we'll just kind of see how it goes and play it by ear. And you can do it however you want at home if you're gonna do this. You can take it as smooth as you want it to go. So here we go. So we've got this first level of seasoning off, and we're starting to actually grind down on the metal, which is awesome. But this is such a great example of what I'm talking about, this rough cook surface. You see how it's like pitting and all this multicolor kind of stuff you see here? That's basically showing you how rough the surface really is. This part in the middle is starting to actually get a little bit better, but all around here, that's what you're normally cooking on. And this is actually after it's been ground down just a little bit. So what we're trying to get to is where this is perfectly smooth looking. We don't see all of this geography here. Happy with that. It's not perfect, but it's way better. So the next thing I'm gonna do, just because it's a little nasty on this edge and there's not really any sanders that can really get to that super easily, I actually just use a drill and this wire wheel to just kind of clean this up some. Man, that feels so smooth. It's like butter. I'm super excited. Don't do that though. You get dirty. But it's got all this nasty dust and stuff on it, and so the next step is to just get it sort of cleaned up a little bit more before we go to the seasoning portion. And so I think I'm gonna actually take it outside and we'll blow it off with the air compressor. Then we'll wash it up really good with just water, which is basically the last time it'll ever see water directly against it like that. And then we'll dry it real good, and then we season it. Our pan has been in the oven for, I don't know, like 10 or 15 minutes at 350 degrees. And all we're doing is trying to get every last little particle of water to evaporate off of that pan. Woo. So it's a little hot. We'll just let it cool down for a few minutes until we can actually touch it, and then we'll go and season this thing up. Next is seasoning. Now, if you don't know what seasoning is, it's putting an oil coating on the pan and heating it all up and letting it cure, harden and cure. And that protects the pan. It also makes the cooking surfaces really smooth. And so you can kind of see a little bit here. Maybe there's a couple of like really deep pits that were in this thing. We got most of them out, but that oil is gonna come in here and cure inside of those pits to make this perfectly smooth. If you're just gonna season the cooking surface, which is what we'll actually start with, you're gonna oil, nice light coat of oil on it. You're gonna turn up the heat as high as it'll go, and you're gonna let this thing smoke. And once all the smoke stops, you're done. And there's lots of different oils that you can actually use. My favorite is flax oil. That creates just such a really nice hard cure on the pan. So that's what we're gonna use today, flax oil. This is a really simple thing to do, but people mess it up all the time. The trick with the oil is less is more. And so we're just gonna put a little bit on there. And the trick is to wipe it on every surface that you wanna have cured, but then to wipe it all away. You're just gonna leave a really thin layer of this oil. You don't need a big thick layer. You'll end up with a really gummy, nasty seasoning if you do that. And you want to just kind of come back behind, get any excess that might be in there. Like I said, you don't want to gum it up. You just want enough on there for a light coat. Method, we're actually going to oil the entire pan, front and back, every last bit of it, and then it's going to go into the oven. Same idea, high heat, let it smoke. When it's done smoking, you can let it cool off and cure. Now, the reason for doing it that way is really simple. When you try to season it with oil on the bottom of this thing and then put it on a burner just burns that oil right up. It's just no good for it. But if you do it in the oven, it does the whole thing really nicely. That's pretty hot. Not bad. I think this is done, so let's pull it out. Oh, man, it's hot. And we're just going to, man, look how good that looks. Where's that camera at? Can you see anything here? Here you go. So we're just gonna set it here and let it cool to room temperature. Okay, so the very final step here is one last little coat of oil on the outside of this, and it's ready to go. You can use it as soon as you're done with that. And same thing, just like a really thin little layer of oil. All it takes. When I put my finger on both sides of this is the old side where, you know, how it came from the factory, and then this is the side that we refinished. It's unreal. This is so rough. It's like the roughest sandpaper ever, and this side is like perfectly smooth. That is how it's supposed to look. That's what real cast iron looks like. Like, it gets dark, but it doesn't go black like the, I don't know what they put on this stuff. It looks like spray paint. I don't know if that's what it really is. Missed the spot there. But that's what real cast iron looks like after it's been seasoned. That's just one season, and so it gets darker and darker as you use it. And that thing is ready to go. All right, friends, there you have it. We have completed this beautiful, look at that thing. Oh my goodness, look at that shine. this beautiful, beautiful pan. I am so excited to take this thing and actually start cooking on it. I've got something really special planned that I've been saving that I think I'm actually going to turn around and start cooking right now. So stick around for the next video. Subscribe so that you can see the next one and you can see what I'm actually about to cook. And I can't wait to see you next time on Typically Hazardous.